This was never a love story. It was a hostile takeover wrapped in designer gowns, royal titles, and carefully rehearsed tears. That is the explosive claim now detonating across royal circles after Princess Anne's alleged private assessment of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry began leaking into public conversation. And the details are so cold, so calculated, that even longtime palace insiders are reportedly stunned. Because according to this narrative, the entire Megxit scandal was never about freedom, racism, mental health, or escaping the monarchy. No, it was allegedly about money, control, branding, and a woman who entered the palace believing she had finally found the ultimate jackpot. The entire atmosphere changed the moment Trevor Engelson reportedly shattered years of silence. For over a decade, he stayed quiet, polite, distant. But now, suddenly stories began resurfacing about a marriage that allegedly operated less like a romance and more like a corporate merger negotiation. And at the center of the storm sat one detail that sent shockwaves through royal gossip circles: the so-called pregnancy contract, a clinical arrangement demanding elite trainers, nutritionists, luxury conditions, and image management before motherhood even entered the picture. The internet exploded because it painted a portrait not of a helpless actress searching for love, but of someone accused of treating relationships like strategic investments. Then came the image nobody could stop talking about: the wedding rings returned in a FedEx package, not in person, not emotionally, not privately. A box, a delivery, a transaction. And according to the report, that was the exact moment Princess Anne allegedly felt vindicated, because in her eyes, Meghan had never misunderstood the monarchy. She had misunderstood ownership. Anne reportedly believed Meghan entered the royal family expecting a billionaire fantasy where palaces, jewels, influence, celebrity status, and global attention could all be converted into personal commercial power. But the British monarchy does not function like Hollywood. You cannot sell Buckingham Palace like a Malibu mansion. You cannot wear crown jewels for Instagram branding campaigns. You cannot turn centuries of national heritage into a private influencer package. That collision between monarchy and monetization allegedly became the real war hidden underneath the public drama. The alleged first meeting with Queen Elizabeth II now sounds almost chilling in retrospect. According to these claims, the Queen instantly sensed something was wrong. Meghan allegedly approached royal protocol with a breezy Hollywood informality that deeply unsettled palace veterans. Too close, too casual, too familiar. The monarchy survives on ritual, distance, symbolism, hierarchy. But Meghan reportedly behaved as if she were entering a celebrity networking event rather than one of the oldest institutions on earth. Princess Anne allegedly watched the interaction carefully and came to one brutal conclusion: Meghan did not crave service. She craved status, not duty, not sacrifice, power without restriction, fame without limitation, a queen's visibility without a queen's obligations. Then came the financial reality, and according to insiders, this was the moment the fantasy began cracking. Meghan allegedly assumed Harry possessed unlimited personal wealth, private jets, endless billions, financial freedom. But instead, she encountered the brutal architecture of royal funding: allowances, audits, trust structures, oversight, every wardrobe expense reviewed, every renovation questioned, every public cost scrutinized. Suddenly, the dream looked less like a limitless empire and more like a tightly controlled institution with centuries of financial safeguards. And according to this narrative, Meghan could not tolerate that loss of control. The wedding drama reportedly became the first visible sign: the tiara disputes, the staff complaints, the alleged bullying accusations, the famous deodorizer argument inside St. George's Chapel. To palace insiders, these weren't random tantrums. They allegedly formed a pattern, a demand for absolute accommodation combined with fury whenever boundaries appeared. Princess Anne supposedly interpreted these incidents as evidence that Meghan wanted to operate like the CEO of a luxury brand rather than a restrained member of the monarchy. And then the real obsession allegedly revealed itself: ownership. Meghan reportedly viewed royal assets the way California celebrity culture views luxury portfolios, as things to leverage, monetize, expand, and display. But Anne supposedly blocked access to certain royal jewels for unofficial appearances, reminding Meghan that the collection belonged to the crown and ultimately the British people, not individual family members. That distinction reportedly enraged her, because in Hollywood, visibility equals money. But inside the monarchy, visibility comes attached to duty, restriction, reparations, and public accountability. The Frogmore Cottage scandal became another boiling point. Millions spent renovating the property. Endless headlines. Public outrage. But according to Princess Anne's alleged perspective, Meghan viewed the cottage not as a royal residence but as a future lifestyle asset, a curated luxury image centerpiece. Then came the devastating realization she didn't own it. Not legally, not financially, not permanently. The monarchy could reclaim it. The taxpayers could question it. The institution controlled it. And insiders claim that moment fundamentally shattered Meghan's vision of royal life. That's when the Oprah interview allegedly transformed in Anne's eyes from emotional confession into strategic warfare. Because according to this explosive interpretation, the victim narrative served a larger purpose, to morally justify the commercial exit strategy already underway. If Meghan and Harry could frame themselves as emotionally persecuted prisoners escaping cruelty, then every Netflix deal, Spotify contract, memoir, documentary, and public accusation suddenly became part of a heroic liberation story instead of a calculated business pivot. And in the middle of all this sat Harry, wounded, isolated, emotionally vulnerable Harry. Anne's alleged assessment of her nephew is devastating. She reportedly believed Meghan recognized something in Harry almost immediately: unresolved trauma surrounding the death of Princess Diana. According to this narrative, Harry's lifelong need to protect women he perceived as persecuted became the psychological doorway through which Meghan gained absolute influence. She allegedly mirrored Diana, echoed Diana, referenced Diana, recreated emotional patterns tied to Diana, and Harry reportedly fell deeper and deeper into the belief that he was saving Meghan from the same machine that destroyed his mother. By the time Prince Harry and Meghan Markle landed in California, the fantasy was already beginning to rot underneath the surface. Because according to Princess Anne's alleged assessment, America exposed the one truth Meghan never expected to face: royal titles mean nothing in a neighborhood filled with actual billionaires. In Britain, Harry was born into untouchable status. A prince remains a prince even without endless cash. But in Montecito, nobody cares about bloodlines if your neighbors own private jet fleets, billion-dollar tech portfolios, and media empires larger than entire countries. Suddenly, Harry and Meghan reportedly found themselves trapped in the humiliating position and supposedly described as the poor rich people. That realization allegedly hit Meghan like a psychological earthquake, because the $30 million inheritance that sounded massive to the public was reportedly tiny compared to the financial monsters surrounding them in California elite society. Then came the mortgage revelation, the security costs, the maintenance bills, the pressure of sustaining a luxury image 24 hours a day. Princess Anne allegedly viewed this as the moment the Hollywood dream transformed into financial panic. And suddenly, everything started making terrifying sense. The Netflix deal, the Spotify deal, the documentaries, the memoir, the interviews, the constant reopening of royal wounds. Anne allegedly believes these were not emotional healing projects. They were emergency cash flow operations disguised as activism and truth-telling. Because according to this narrative, Meghan and Harry had accidentally built a lifestyle requiring endless relevance to survive. The problem? Public sympathy has an expiration date. Princess Anne's alleged criticism of Harry becomes absolutely brutal here. She reportedly views him not as a rebellious hero, but as a man who surrendered his identity piece by piece until all that remained was a marketable trauma brand. Every interview about Diana, every accusation against the palace, every emotional confession, every family secret, Anne allegedly sees it all as the monetization of pain. And in her eyes, that represents the ultimate betrayal of royal service. The irony reportedly disgusts her. Harry publicly claimed he wanted privacy, yet his entire post-royal existence allegedly revolves around selling intimate details of his family to streaming platforms and publishers. The monarchy trained him to protect the institution. Hollywood retrained him to exploit it. And somewhere in that transformation, Anne supposedly believes Harry disappeared completely. But the darkest part of the alleged royal assessment revolves around Meghan's long-term strategy. Because according to Anne's interpretation of Trevor Engelson's stories, Meghan allegedly operates relationships through utility. When a partner advances her status, the relationship thrives. When that usefulness begins fading, emotional distance quietly appears. Trevor reportedly experienced it, and Anne allegedly fears Harry may now be entering the exact same stage. Look at the patterns. Meghan increasingly focusing on solo branding, separate public appearances, independent business launches, lifestyle products, carefully curated personal image campaigns. Meanwhile, Harry reportedly looks exhausted, isolated, emotionally frayed, dragged into endless legal battles and fading relevance. Anne allegedly sees the imbalance growing larger every month. Meghan positioning herself as a a standalone celebrity mogul, while Harry slowly transforms into background decoration only activated whenever royal legitimacy is needed. Then came the disaster of the corporate deals. According to this narrative, Meghan genuinely believed royal fame alone would guarantee effortless American success. But the United States entertainment machine is ruthless. Streaming giants do not hand out permanent allowances for existing. They expect results, ratings, content, productivity, audience retention. And when Spotify executives allegedly began publicly criticizing the Sussex brand, the humiliation reportedly cut deep. Princess Anne supposedly viewed this as inevitable because Meghan misunderstood the difference between inherited royal mystique and sustainable commercial talent. That humiliation allegedly intensified Meghan's resentment toward Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales. Because while Harry struggled financially in California, William inherited the Duchy of Cornwall, a billion-dollar estate generating enormous annual income. To Anne, this wasn't unfairness, it was constitutional structure. But according to insiders, Meghan allegedly viewed it as economic betrayal. She reportedly could not accept that Harry would never possess the same financial power as his brother, and that bitterness allegedly poisoned nearly every public attack launched against the royal institution afterward. Princess Anne's alleged observations about Meghan's obsession with commercialization become even sharper when discussing royal restrictions. The monarchy reportedly blocked luxury freebies, sponsorship-style gifts, designer promotions, and influencer-style branding opportunities. To palace officials, these rules protected integrity. To Meghan, they allegedly felt like suffocation, because in Hollywood culture, visibility equals monetization. But within the monarchy, monetizing public duty crosses ethical lines. And that may be the most explosive allegation of all hidden inside this entire royal deconstruction. Meghan allegedly never hated royal life itself. She hated the inability to personally own and monetize it. Princess Anne reportedly frames the entire saga as a battle between stewardship and entitlement. The crown views itself as temporary guardian of national heritage. Meghan allegedly viewed the institution as an expandable luxury platform waiting to be modernized into a commercial empire. And when those two visions collided, the explosion became inevitable. But Anne's alleged final warning about Harry is where the story becomes almost haunting, because according to this interpretation, Harry is now trapped in a terrifying cycle. He needs relevance to maintain income, but maintaining relevance requires continuing public conflict with the very institution that once protected him. Every grievance becomes another paycheck. Every accusation becomes another contract negotiation. Every family wound becomes another commodity. And what happens when the audience finally gets tired? That question reportedly hangs over Montecito like a storm cloud, because Anne allegedly believes Meghan always prepares exit strategies. Trevor Engelson supposedly saw it first, and now palace insiders allegedly fear Harry could eventually become the next discarded chapter once his usefulness declines beyond recovery. The same emotional isolation, the same narrative reframing, the same cold strategic repositioning, only this time involving a prince instead of a producer. The alleged signs are already there according to this royal interpretation. Meghan increasingly detached from Harry's personal battles. Harry looking more alone during public appearances, separate priorities emerging, separate ambitions expanding, and Anne reportedly views this as the final stage of a relationship built not on loyalty, but leverage. In the end, Princess Anne allegedly reaches one devastating conclusion. The monarchy survived because its barriers worked exactly as intended. The institution prevented its assets, influence, and historical power from becoming privately controlled celebrity property. Meghan left believing she could outplay a 1,000-year-old machine. But according to Anne, the machine simply outlasted her.